Hello and welcome back to Elemental Books. I'm Joey. Sorry for looking like a mess today, but I decided to film this video last minute because today's video is a book haul, used book haul from this event that I went to where you buy a trash bag that is like 3 times the size of a normal trash bag for $40, excuse me. And you fill it up with everything you can carry. Mostly I do clothes, but I found some books this time that I really wanted to get. And so it's really heavy because it's a huge bag, but as long as the bag doesn't rip, everything in the bag is yours. So it's worth a lot of stuff. Way more than $40 to be sure. And this is like the only time where I get clothes all year. And I'm happy that I got some very good books this time that I cannot wait to read. So without further ado, let's get into it. This thing was China Rich Girlfriend by Kevin Kwan, the sequel to Crazy Rich Asians. My sister actually picked out this book, and the funny thing is, it's actually an ARC. It's actually a galley copy, which I noticed when I saw on sale June 2015, and I was like, this is a ARC. So yeah, it's an ARC, which is pretty cool. It's a very old ARC, of course, but I was like, wow, somebody who had an ARC of this book donated it, and I was like, okay, well, I'm taking it. No, actually, my sister found this, but yes, I'm excited to read it. I haven't read Crazy Rich Asians yet, so I actually do need to do that, but I know she's excited to read this, and I'm excited to read it as well. Next is A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle, which is a middle grade novel, very well known. It's a classic, won the Newbery Award in 19-something. I don't know. I never know this stuff. And it follows his girl and her friends, her neighbors, sort of, her brother, and they're trying to find her father, who went missing a long time ago, and they end up meeting these 3 weird ladies who guide them through space and the space-time continuum, and it's just very cool. Very interesting sci-fi novel with lots of weird twists. There's a movie, actually several movies, I think. TV show, 2 movies. I watched the most recent movie, and it was kind of like very stunning cinematics, but I didn't really like the way it followed the plot, because it didn't really follow the plot. Anyway, that's this book, and I wanted to own it because I used to have a copy in paperback, but something happened to it, so I didn't have it anymore, and I wanted to own it. So, here we go. Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I am not a fan of John Green at all. However, I saw this as a beautiful paperback that looks like hardcover, that looks like it's never been read, and like it's barely touched, and it has this beautiful cover that's just like very, hear that sound, and it's a signed copy actually, so very exciting. This follows, I don't know, it's this girl who I know has OCD, and like actually OCD, not just when people say that. So I'm going to read the summary because I don't really know what it's about at all. 16-year-old Ozla never intended to pursue the mystery of fugitive billionaire Russell Pickett, but there's a $100,000 reward at stake, and her best and most fearless friend, Daisy, is eager to investigate. So together, they navigate the short distance and broad divides that separate them from Russell Pickett's son, Davis. Ozla is trying. She is trying to be a good daughter, a good friend, a good student, and maybe even a good detective, while also living within the ever-tightening spiral of her own thoughts. So, The Fault in Our Stars, I didn't love it as much as everyone else. It may have been I wasn't in the right frame of mind to read it, but I didn't like it that much. I just didn't like it. I don't know how to describe it. I just didn't like it. I read it a long time ago actually, so maybe if I reread it I would like it better this time. But I am willing to give this book a try, as some of my favorite booktubers have recommended this book. Like A Clockwork Reader, Hannah. She recommends this book, she loves it, she relates to it. And so I thought, you know what, if she likes it, I'm just gonna give it a try. Give it a go. Let's see what happens. Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. I love Rainbow Rowell. I read Fangirl, which I didn't like, but I did love Carry On, and I cannot wait to read the sequel to that book. And Eleanor and Park, I know, is a very old YA novel, and it wasn't originally intended to be young adult. It was just a book, but it ended up being marketed as such. And I'm excited to read it because it just seems like something, like I like the simple cover. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of contemporary or romance, but I have heard good things about it. So, again, I don't know what it's about, so here I am reading the summary. Two misfits, one extraordinary love. Eleanor, red hair, wrong clothes, standing behind him until he turns his head, lying beside him until he wakes up, making everyone else seem drabber and flatter and never good enough. Eleanor. Hark! He knows she'll love a song before he plays it for her. He laughs at her jokes before she even gets to the punchline. There's a place on his chest, just below his throat, that makes her want to keep promises. Hark! 7 over the course of one school year, this is the story of two star-crossed 16-year-olds, smart enough to know that first love almost never lasts, but brave and desperate enough to try. It sounds really fun, and I cannot wait to pick up this book and read it, for real. Quick moment. I want to apologize for the dryer going on in the background. I'm sorry, and I'm going to try and fix that right now, so give me 1 second. Quieter? Yes, I hope so. Alright, let's move on. This Savage Song and Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. I have been wanting to own these books since forever, solely because of the violin on the cover. I play violin, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a violin. And I'm always wary about getting into books that have string instruments in them because it's just written wrong sometimes. So, for example, in the book If I Stay, the main character plays the cello, and at one point she plays her boyfriend like a cello. She puts her bow on his stomach where the bridge would be, she says, and plays. And first of all, there's 2 problems with that. Number 1, you don't play on the bridge. You play between the bridge and the fingerboard. So on any string instrument, that's like, cello, violin, viola, whatever. And so you don't play on the bridge. That wouldn't make a sound. So first of all, wrong. Second of all, you cannot put your bow on skin. Skin is oily. That's why you don't touch the bow hair. Moving on from my little nerdy tangent there. I first found Our Dark Duet and I was like, I have to pick this up. Again, it looks very red. I am so excited to read this. I'm gonna, I guess, just own the second book in the duology. But then I found the first book, which I guess they got separated. And I'm so happy because this one's in paperback, this one's in hardcover, which honestly is a fact of life for many duologies. That's not true for Strange the Dreamer, but I have like Six of Crows in paperback and Crooked Kingdom in hardcover, because what happens is I'll read the first book after it comes out, after it's been out for a while, and then the second book I'll want to read as soon as it comes out, so then I'll get it in hardcover. And so that's, I guess, what somebody did here, and now I have that same scenario with these 2 books that I bought used. Oh, so I didn't mention what it's about, which again, I don't remember what it's about because it's been a long time since I add this to my TBR. So it says, there's no such thing as safe in a city full of monsters. Kate Harker wants to be as ruthless as her father to prove she's worthy to stand beside him and lead their city. August Flynn wants to be human, but he isn't. He's a monster, one that can steal souls with a song, his own father's secret weapon. Their city is divided, their city is crumbling. Kate and August are the only 2 who can see both sides, the only 2 who could do something. But how do you decide whether to be a hero or a villain when it's hard to tell which is which? So, sounds pretty cool. Sounds like an anti-hero sort of thing. Sounds like something that I'm going to like. I can't wait. Next is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, a thriller about 5 years into a couple's marriage. The woman is found missing. I think missing? Yes, she's missing. And Nick, who's the husband, is blamed for it because he hasn't been exactly a good husband, and then things get revealed, and it's a thriller, so there's a twist and probably other things. And I'm excited to read this because I like thriller movies. I haven't read many thriller books, but I am excited to read this. And I did like Sadie, which is the only other thriller I've read. This is an adult thriller, unlike Sadie, which is a young adult thriller. But I have heard good things about this book, and I do want to read it. So, funny thing is, unlike all the other books that I found, this one looks actually like it's a used book. It has stains on the side, it's messy on the front, unlike the other books, which are very pristine and they look like they've never been read. So I was kind of interested about that. Somebody must have had some of these young adult books, and actually, this Savage Song I'm pretty sure is new adult, but whatever. They just donated all these unused books. It's some other book lover out there just made my day. Next, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, which everyone knows the synopsis. Katniss, girl from a futuristic country called Panem. She lives in District 12, the most impoverished district, and they're coal miners, and every year 2 teens from each district have to pick to fight to the death in a ring, and so she volunteers for her sister who gets picked, and then there's like this whole thing. She falls in love, she's trying to make it out of the arena and stay alive, and then there's like this whole revolution, all this stuff. So there was actually a box set of the all hardcovers there, and I was really tempted to get it, but my bag would probably break if I had gotten that, so I just decided to get the paperback of the first book because I didn't need a whole box set. I didn't like Mockingjay, for example. I just like Hunger Games and Catching Fire, so those 2 are good because I like the arena scenarios. I didn't like how in Mockingjay there was no arena. I like the arena, and so I'm happy with just having the first book, which was the best in my opinion. Next, Divergent by Veronica Roth. I love Divergent. I do not like Insurgent and Allegiant, so I did not pick up Insurgent when I saw it. I saw it was a pristine hardback book, and I was like, nope, not getting you. But Divergent follows a girl named Triss who lives in a futuristic society where people are separated by their personality traits, and so she's born into Abnegation, which is the selfless faction, and it's the day of her choosing. She gets to choose which faction she's going to be in. She ends up switching to Dauntless, which is, you guessed it, the Dauntless. We're the brave ones, and she has to go through the trials and get through everything, and then she finds out that there's this whole conspiracy to undermine the system. She finds out in the testing, by the way, that she's divergent, which means that she actually fits in more than one category. And so stuff happens, and yeah, there's this whole thing going around when people are trying to find divergence, and she's divergent. I actually need to reread this book. I haven't in a really long time. I think the first time I read it, I was in Korea, so it was kind of weird to be in another country while reading this book, but I did really enjoy it. I just hated the sequels, as well as I hated the sequel movies. I never watched the Insurgent movie, but I watched the Allegiant movie because I had read the books, so I kind of knew what happened. But yeah, they suck. This book is good. The rest of them suck. Finally, Neverworld Wake, which I don't know what it's about, but I did remember wanting to read it when this book came out, which I think was last year, and it's like this world where it's like this dream world sort of thing. I was just really intrigued by the premise, but I'm just going to read the summary once again. Once upon a time, back at Darrow Harker School, Beatrice Hartley and her 5 best friends were the cool kids, the beautiful ones. Then the shocking death of Jim, their creative genius, and Beatrice's boyfriend changed everything. 1 year after graduation, Beatrice is returning to Wincroft, the seaside estate where they spent so many nights sharing secrets, crushes, plans to change the world, hoping she'll get to the bottom of the dark questions gnawing at her about Jim's death. She suspects that her friends know much more than they ever let on. But as the night plays out in a haze of awkward jokes and unfathomable silence, Beatrice senses she's never going to know what really happened. Then night fades to morning, a thunderstorm rages, and a mysterious man knocks on the door. Gleefully, he announces the impossible. The time for them has become stuck, snagged on a splinter that can only be removed if the former friends make the harshest of decisions. Now Beatrice has one last shot at answers and at life, and so begins the Neverworld Wake. So, sounds intriguing. They get stuck in the time period. I love that sort of thing. I did read that in one other book, which was, I remember the second book was called Altered and the third book was called Unraveled, but the first book was Cruel. That was a weird book. I wish I hadn't given it away though, because I would, now that I like having books, and I would have liked to have that book so I could reread it, but that was a weird young adult book that it was definitely not ever talked about, Cruel. But that involved with being stuck in time, and so maybe this will be something like that. Maybe it won't, but it involves being stuck in time. So I'm excited. So that was my book haul for used books. I am so happy that I have all these new books because I cannot wait to read them. I am going to finish up reading what I got from the library in my library book haul so long ago, or so it seems. And after that, no more books from the library because I need to get through the books that I have, and I'm prioritizing those first, and I cannot buy any more books until I finish the ones I have. I know that's not going to happen. I'm just going to keep buying books and checking books out from the library, but, you know, pray for me. By the way, currently reading update, I'm currently reading Sawkill Girls. I'm liking it so far, although I'm a little confused, so I'm hoping that it'll clear up. And that is all for this book haul. I hope you enjoyed. Again, I'm sorry for the dryer at the beginning of the video, and I'm sorry that it's kind of dark, but I cannot wait to continue reading all these books and reading more. So I'll see you in my next video. Bye.